And you are living proof, Denise. Denise found out about 10 o'clock last night she would be with us today. So how about that? Thank you. Thank you. Our regular scheduled singer had no voice, and she said, I just got no voice. And I thought, well, you could be the silent unity singer. But we're really grateful Denise came instead. There was a story about a young couple who were eating in a restaurant, and they had a 4-year-old, and we have a 4-year-old this weekend, and so we know all about 4-year-olds again, and we have a 4-year-old, almost 4.5-year-old, and the baby, we keep calling him the baby, he's 14 months. I don't know how that happened. You know, I'm thinking he should be like 10 or 6 or 4 maybe, 14 months. So they're here. They came late Thursday night, and they're going to take off this afternoon. But our house is so very different when they're here, and we absolutely love it, love it, love it. And I'll just speak for myself. I'm sort of glad when they go home. So I'm dragging. This 4-year-old, she's outrageous. She's so smart. She's the one, if you remember when we did the christening, that she was out front. She was the princess. She's still the princess. She had her hair in this long, dark, curly braid yesterday. And she goes, I'm Elsa. I said, I know you are. She goes, I'm a princess. I said, I know you are. So it wasn't Elsa or the princess or even Jada that was in the restaurant with their parents, but this is what happened. The waitress approached the table. She took their orders. The parents ordered what they ordered, and then they said, the waitress looked at the little boy. He goes, I want a hot dog. And the parents said, oh, no hot dog for him. Then bring him the grilled chicken, the vegetables, and the milk. And for some crazy reason, the waitress ignored the parents and looked at the boy and said, what do you want on your hot dog? And the amazed child said, lots of ketchup, and could you bring me some milk? The parents are stunned. They're stunned. They're like, ah. Waitress walks away. She says, coming right out. And the boy watches her walk away, and he responds. He looks to his parent. He goes, you know what? She thinks I'm real. Now, you have to be the 4-year-old in that story. You can't be the parent or the grandparent, right? Because you go, what? But boy, she thinks I'm real. Another story, little Mary was on the beach with her mother. Mommy, 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 can I play in the sand? No, darling, you'll only soil your clothes. May I bathe in the water? No, you'll get wet and catch a cold. May I play with the other children? No, you'll get lost in the crowd. Mommy, Mommy, buy me an ice cream. No, it's bad for your throat. Little Mary finally began to cry. The mother turned to a woman standing next to her and said, for heaven's sake, have you ever seen such a neurotic child? What do you hunger for? Do you hunger for a hot dog or an ice cream or to play in the sand or to get wet in the beach? Do you hunger to be free? I love our daily word today, freedom. The statement was, let's see, free from fear, I celebrate the gift of vulnerability. Vulnerability is about just being real. Mommy, she thinks I'm real. Did you ever have an experience where you were actually seen as real? Did you ever have an experience where you were not seen? Don't raise your hands. Anybody anybody in here never have the experience of not being seen? I didn't think so. So what is it that you really hunger for? Last week we talked about push me and pull me and those impulses and those desires and the discomfort, the divine discomfort that pushes us out and the yearnings and the longings that pull us forward. But today we take that to the next layer, deeper. What do you hunger for? Are you hungry for more of something? Now, I'm not talking here about our ego and our personality desires, right? Because we can talk about that. But take it deeper. What's in your soul? What's in your heart? Why do you get up in the morning? And some of us go, well, I have no idea. The sun wasn't even up. But what are you hungry for? Jesus says in the Beatitudes, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. And in the Message Bible, it says this. Let me get to it. You are blessed when you've worked up a good appetite for God. God's food and drink in the best meal you'll ever eat. You are blessed when you've worked up a good appetite for spirit. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. But what is righteousness? Righteousness is simply right thinking. Righteousness is putting our mind, our heart, our awareness, our mind, our soul, our strength, all of it on God. We can call it whatever you want, but on God, on spirit, on source, on creation, on that which is within us and so much greater than us. It is not separate from us. It is the very essence of our being. But when we can begin to take our attention off the stuff of the world and put it on God, then we are lifted to a new consciousness. We are blessed. Another word for blessed is happy. Happy are those who hunger and thirst for spirit. Happy are those who hunger and thirst for that connection to that which we are, to that which we already are. We were teaching, we're going to do new members today, and that's always a really fun thing for us to do. And we were talking in the new member class yesterday about if we could take these principles that we teach, these 5 basic principles, or shoot, 5's a lot. If we could take one, the first principle, and really integrate it, fully integrate it into our being, we can spout them off, we know them, we can teach them, we can preach them, we can talk them all day long. But the first one we say every Sunday. There is how many presences? There is only one presence and power. Only one presence and power active in my life and in the universe. We call it God. God is good, omnipotent. When we hunger and thirst and yearn and seek that one presence, we will be lifted to a new consciousness. It's 2015. It is time on this planet that we awaken. And that is what we are awakening to. We are awakening to the truth that there's only God, or spirit, or source, or divine, or love, or beloved, whatever you call it. It's bigger than us, and it encompasses us. And the second principle is that we have that divinity within us. There is nothing that you have to do or be in order to know God. There is nothing you have to do or be to earn your divinity. It's already there. It is your divine birthright. It is part of who we are on the planet. If we took those 2, I know I gave you only 1, but now I'm back to 2. We may end up with 5 by the end of the day. But just those 2, and we could step into that. And it is a stepping into... It's a stepping into, not like baby steps from I'm unworthy, I'm unworthy, I'm unworthy, I'm a little bit unworthy, I'm less unworthy, oh, there, I'm divine. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. We've been trying that the whole time we've been in New Thought. It doesn't work. It's a quantum leap. It's a shift. It's a movement in consciousness. And the movement in consciousness can happen instantaneously. It can happen right here today for you. It can happen. And the only thing that we have to do is drop our mind. The only thing we have to do is lose our mind. Oh, praise God. Yay! Now when I walk around, I go, I lost my mind. You're picturing the guy in Peter Pan, right? I've lost my marbles. I've lost my marbles. Where'd they go? Well, I lost my mind. But when you lose your mind, and what I mean by that is when you drop underneath, like your mind is up here and it's full of thoughts. And it runs 24/7. And it is, you have thoughts, you don't even know where your thoughts come from. Think about that. I know, right? I mean, where do these thoughts come from? I mean, some of the things that come out of your mouth and that could pop into your mind and you wake up with, you go, where did that come from? Well, we don't know, but we don't really have to care anymore. Because what we're more interested in is dropping beneath the mind, landing ultimately in the heart, but landing ultimately in a different dimension, in a different consciousness. And when we land there and we let the mind do what the mind does, you can kind of look up and go, wow, look at that thought. Wow, that was a curious thought. Whoa, that was interesting. And then you come into that place where regardless of what your mind does, your being, your soul, your heart knows that you're divine, knows with every fiber of your being the way that Jesus knew, the way that Jesus knows. We talk about Jesus in unity as our way shower, the master teacher, our brother, but we also don't teach that Jesus was the one and only. The one and only, the way, I am the way, the life, and the truth. The one and only way is through our heart, is through love, is to come to know God in the same way that he came to know God, which is as oneness. And when we land in that oneness, that is love, everything shifts. Our awareness shifts, our seeing shifts, our thinking can still be up here, but ultimately our thinking shifts because we come into this place of absolute knowing. And in that knowing, what happens is like nothing matters anymore. That's the good news and the bad news, by the way. It'll show up once in a while. It's like, doesn't matter to me. It's like, well, it really should. I know, but it just doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you give up your responsibilities. But what it means is you come into a place of being that is so pure spirit, that you are absolutely in the moment connected to that which is greater than you and within you. I say greater than you. I don't mean it's outside, it's inside. It's both and. It's within and without. And that spirit, that presence that is there is love. I was listening to a teleseminar earlier in the year, and then I stumbled on it again, same one yesterday, which is highly unusual for those of you who listen to teleseminars. Usually can't find them again, right? And it was Anita Moorjani. Anybody know Anita Moorjani? Okay, quite a few hands. She has this beautiful story, and she's got a long story, but briefly, she had a near-death experience. She was dying of cancer and died, basically, and then came back, and her whole being was different. She saw things different. It's like the world was different when she came back, and she realized what we're talking about today. She realized that there really is only love. And if we only knew, if we could get a glimpse of the truth that there's only love, we could let go of so much of the stuff we carry, the trying and the unworthy and the I need to be more and I'm not good enough, and all that stuff just dissolves right out of your consciousness when you land in that place. And she's told a story of being in a warehouse. It's as if it was a parable, really. And being in a warehouse, a huge warehouse with only a flashlight, and it's pitch black. And you're walking through the warehouse with it's a little pen light too. It's not one of those big flashlights, right, that fill up the whole room. It's one of those little pocket pen lights. And you're shining the light, and you can see what you can see, right? You can notice what you notice, and oh, look there, and oh, look there, and there's that. And what you can tell is that the warehouse is full of shelves, row upon row upon row of amazing good blessings and gifts. Health and abundance and wealth and, all this stuff. And there's some really unusual things you would have never thought about too, but you've got your little flashlight so you can see little bits. And then one day you're wandering around this pitch black warehouse and the floodlights come on, like the whole building. And you see things you never even would have dreamed of. And even the things that you'd seen, you can see so much better. You get the fullness. You have this experience of like, oh my goodness, wow, look at this. And then after a little while, the floodlight goes off and you've got that flashlight again. That flashlight is our consciousness. What happens when we experience God at the depths of our being is the floodlights come on. And what we see is so far beyond our wildest imaginings, our wildest imagination, that we are changed at depth. And then when we're back to the flashlight, but we know there's more. When we have those mystical experiences, when we touch the hem of the garment, when we have an experience of Spirit pouring into us and through us and out of us, opening us, it is the floodlight. And then we sort of go back to normal. We'll never go back the same, but we sort of find a new normal. We're back. But you know there's more. There's so much more. And there's so much more. And I'm just here to tell you there's so much more. And it's right here. It's right here. You know, we get busy in our lives. We get busy striving and trying, and I'm speaking about myself too, and I need to, and I got to, and I will, and when this happens, and I got to get all this stuff lined up, and then it's not that. It's not that. It's right here. It's right here. And it's right here. And it's available to each and every single one of us. It's available to us. And it's not only our opportunity, but it is our responsibility. It is our responsibility to come into an awakened state. And again, you don't have to wake up slowly. When you wake up from a sleep in the morning, some of us, we have to do the snooze a number of times. Some of us wake up really happy and ready to hit the deck, and others of us take a while. But it's like when you wake up, you're awake. You know, you're either awake or you're asleep. And we go to sleep all day long, every day, and we go to sleep at the end of the day. But when we wake up, then we wake up, and then we go, oh, I'm sleeping again. Oh, look, I'm really crabby over here. I'm really in my judgment over here. Oh, cool, I'm asleep. What if I wake up? And you release the judgment. You know, it's like a caterpillar. You know, a caterpillar has within it that impulse, that desire to awaken. Oh, okay, loose paradigm here. To awaken into the becoming of the butterfly, right? But most caterpillars, I don't know about this. I'm thinking of the book Hope for the Flowers. Remember that came out in the 90s, Hope for the Flowers, the story about the caterpillars who were all trying to climb the mountain. And the mountain was made of caterpillars, and they tried to get to the top because they knew there was enlightenment at the very top. They knew it. But they would just pile all over each other. And then one day, and a couple of characters, and I didn't look up the story, so I don't even have it in my mind. It just came. But one of the characters saw a butterfly, and that impulse was so strong. She said, I'm going to become that. And she left the pile, and she left the masses, and she left all of the group. And she went, and she just did what was innate in her, which was ultimately to build the cocoon. And ultimately, I mean, she didn't have to do anything once she was inside the cocoon, but she ultimately fell apart. Unfortunately, that's a part of awakening, as we get to fall apart. But that's the good news, because until we fall apart, we're always going to be a caterpillar. Until everything falls apart, you're going to stay exactly where you are. Now, we can do varying degrees of how things fall apart, but falling apart is a part of the spiritual journey at some level. And so then she becomes the butterfly, and then she's talking to her friend. She goes, come, do this. This is me. And he's like, I don't know who you are. You're not my friend. You look different. Wow, what are you doing up there? And she said, I awoke. I don't think that's in the book, but in my story, she said, I woke up. I woke up to the truth of who I'm here to be, and I had to be a caterpillar. I had to be a caterpillar for as long as I was a caterpillar, and then I had to build my cocoon, and then I had to go to mush, and then I began to form again. And then I had to do the struggle of getting out of the cocoon. All of that is a spiritual journey. So wherever you are on your journey, whatever is standing in front of you right here, right now, today, if it looks like a challenge or an opportunity, it is a part of your unfoldment. And in any given moment, you can awaken. You can wake up, and you do it by hungering for more spirit, hungering and thirsting to know God at deeper levels of your being. Emily Cady said in our basic textbook, Lessons in Truth, desire is God knocking at the door of your heart to accept more good. To accept more good, to accept more God. And again, the stuff of the world, the cars and the clothes and the shoes and the relationships and the jobs and all that is part of it, but it is not the whole of it. Because when you find God, everything else will be added. To remind you of one of Jesus' statements, seek first the kingdom of God, and all else shall be added. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added. Anita Morjani says this. She was, I'm just going to read this part. So if there's something I desire, so just let something burn. What are you hungry for? What do you desire? If there's something you desire, the idea isn't to go out and get it. Like most of us think, we're good creative visualization and we're good at The Secret and we're good manifestors and all that. That's all fine and dandy, but it's not the real work. So it's no longer about going out and getting it, but rather the work is to expand my own consciousness, to allow the universal energy to bring it into my reality here. Doesn't that feel different? I'll read it again. If there's something I desire, the idea isn't to go out and get it, but to expand my own consciousness, to allow the universal energy to bring it into this reality here. Some of you are taking the Prosperity Plus course with us, and Mary talks about that. This week, I don't know if it was last week or coming week, but this week she talks about that, and it's a big foundation of that course. You hold a vision, but you can't get to the vision. You can't, from where you are, you can't get there from where you are. But you raise your consciousness, you raise your vibration, you hold in possibilities, and then you bring that forward. There is no time, really, so the past and the future are all right now. So put yourself in the future, present tense, and bring it right now in this now moment. Bring it right now into this now moment, and your consciousness will expand. As your consciousness expands, there's so much more room for God, for spirit, for love, and for all that you desire. So as you go forth this week and you think about it. What am I hungry for? Think about it. Use it. Sometimes it'll be the hot dog, and that's okay. Sometimes it'll be the ice cream, and that's okay too. Sometimes, and notice, when you pose that question to yourself again and again, what is it in the depths of your soul? What is it that you're being called to? What is it that is wanting to be expressed in you and through you and by you and as you? And I promise you, it is God. And all you have to do is become willing, and the full Spirit of God will come upon you and come through you. What are you hungry for? What are you hungry for? Let it be God. Let it be Spirit. Let it be love and life and joy and peace. And let it be made manifest in this world today. God bless you.